I don't want this to be about politics, but I'll just say this. The upcoming election is probably the most important one in my lifetime, and I've been here since Eisenhower. What do you say?
Yeah, completely lunacy left, massive government, just completely la-la fairyland, cut off, does no information, but presents this kind of la-la land idea of, forget what could have been beautiful in the past and put all the past in the future and what you were, off it goes into it's just nonsensical rubbish, policy-wise. It's anything to bring down the establishment or the status quo. Any race issue is jumped upon immediately and magnified, when they don't even exist half the time, and that's their, you see, that's their ammunition, that's their currency. It's the only way they can survive on these knee-jerk, this is right, this is wrong, and that's how they manipulate big chunks of the community. But everyone's working up to them, really, because at the end of the day, they're just the same as the neocons, but a different approach to telling the people about it, really. Different approach to how you get people to acquiesce.
I think it's a defense mechanism because she doesn't know what else to do. So she laughs. She has flip-flopped on every issue. How can anyone ever take her serious? She's like a bad SNL skit. She laughs all day and all night, so nobody sees her incompetence.
That's right.
Independents, a lot of independents will vote for Bobby, but they really just screwed him over, the Democratic Party. He could have been their nominee. This woman isn't going to win. Like, that group that attacked the American flag in Washington, and they're blaming Hamas because they raised a Hamas flag.
That is how they got in from the border.
Well, look at Joe Biden, talking about that January the 6th, they built a scaffold to hang. It was Mike Pence. They're going to hang him. There was this kind of like a theatre, a bit of a cardboard theatre thing with a bit of a noose and a deck. And that's enough. What an horrific event. That's the same gravity as the Twin Towers, what they're doing against democracy. What a load of absolute crap. So it's that kind of approach to reality that brings them into complete disrepute.
Yeah.
So, Greg, I'd like to say at this point, the last election, right, the thing that is my belief, Trump lost that on basically because of COVID, the way he dealt with COVID, all the mess that went on. He was slow off the mark. There wasn't enough PPE gear and all that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that was why he lost. This one coming up, it is Trump's to lose again. He's got to be smart about the way he communicates.
Yeah.
He just can't do them one-line blibs like he used to. He's got to be smarter the way he communicates about things. Man, like that, it's his to lose, right? As far as what's the name goes, I think there'll be that much dirt dug on her and her time as Attorney General, wasn't it, in California, and some of the things she did. But if people, the advertising campaign on her, so she's going to somewhere along the line, they'll be running things that Trump's a criminal and all this, and the business with that woman and all that, and they'll start running the opposing ads on her with some of the things she's done in the past and her interconnections with married men and all that. And by the time the dirt and the mud will be that thick, and somewhere along the line, Trump's got to keep to his policy format of getting manufacturing and that back in the US and you know, rebuilding and that, because as I was listening to Daniel Martino Booth the other day talking, and there seems to be a view within some of the hierarchy of the Democratic Party that this is the one we'll let go because the economy's going to crapper and we'll let Trump wear it. So it'll be a 4-year run with the Republican leader. Your midterms will come, the whole economy will be in the shit, and they'll be able to blame the Republicans, so they'll get good votes there, and then at the end of the 4 years, they'll be able to get a president of both houses.
Then she'll go the route of Sarah Palin. I get it. But Trump can govern. The economy was booming when he was president. He made tax cuts, created a lot of jobs. He did the work. That's why so many Republicans have jumped on board that used to dislike him, because he governed very well, despite Nancy Pelosi's best efforts to impeach him, who, by the way, is in her 80s too. She needs to go as well. They just cling on to power with their last breath to pry their fingers. He seems to thrive with conflict. That's a rare quality.
So it does appear that the economic indicators aren't very good. You know, there's a lot of unemployment starting to happen. And it's starting to really show. So it's going to be an interesting run up to the election, you know, as far as it goes. So
I mean, there's
and I
12
think it
million
always
kilometres
comes back.
to look after.
Yeah,
from
and it always
the
comes
old place
back,
is
Greg.
disintegrated.
Yeah,
And
and it always
the
comes back
economy is
to
going to collapse. And
Yeah.
I think Trump, at least they realise Trump does have an eye for the economy rather than just printing money time after time, according to his international politics. I mean, trillions of pounds that have got to be paid back. And, you know, you need someone who can, what they do in this country is when they do that is they have an austerity drive, which means, you know, everything, you know, well, there's no fun for the working people for a long time. That's austerity, high interest rates, because apart from the inflation, they've also got to save their interest rates. Have got to, because of all the inflation, they've got to put them up, which is another form of taxation. So I mean, already in this country, they're talking about giving the civil service 20 billion quid or something like that. And they don't do anything with that money. You know, all they do is import more problems that they don't deal with. So it is good to have a point of reckoning where you can have a clean up, really. I mean, I don't know if you Rochdale, where I come from, it's in the news all the time. But today they're expecting our Muslim friends to burn the well, it used to be the police station in Rochdale town centre, but they moved it to the nearby town to save money. So and the law courts that were there, they sold to the Sharia law courts for £2 million. You know, banging the town centre by the Remembrance Square and all that lot. That's where they're going to kick off. Well, watch it on the news later because this place is going to kick right off, and that's going to happen all over the place. So, yeah, I think you've got the same kind of problems coming as well. You know, lots of no-go areas happening, and them kind of people Camilla likes. She likes them sort of people. She thinks they're heroes.
America is so divided now that they can come here, they have the nerve to come here and burn an American flag in Washington, D.C., and there's no repercussions. This is bullshit.
Greg,
Go ahead.
Greg, the other point is when you're talking about Netanyahu being in the capital at the moment, and is he getting the traction that he normally would because everything's so dysfunctional as far as the leadership goes? Or is he just making a bit of noise and some people are clapping him and then they'll pack him up on the plane and send him home. But basically, he's there, wanting more American-free weapons that the American public are going to pay for. So, money that should be going to your systems for your people are going over there in a backdoor way. And I think the thing is, that's become, and doesn't matter what they say now, it's become so bad for them because every day you see stuff, you just see the slaughter of innocent people. And they're saying that's to get rid of Hamas. I can't see how this isn't going to bubble along now for a long time because of all what's going on. Like this will be nibbling away now for probably centuries.
Well, some Democrats turned their back on him when he was talking. He did give a pretty good speech. I watched it. That situation leaves a lot to be desired, because at first I was one of the ones who had sympathy for the Palestinians, and I still do. However, Hamas hides in hospitals and with children, and that's just, what can they do? It's Hamas's fault that a lot of the citizens are being killed. So now I kind of see it from both standpoints. It's bad. They have the right to defend themselves, but it's a mean circle jerk. Violence will only beget more violence. They really need to be talking to each other, and since they hate each other so much, that's not going to happen.
No chance.
Because they just look at it from their side. They're not looking at it any other way. I just, what I said about this election, I'm not a real political guy, you know that. But when John Kennedy said, let's not look for the Democratic or Republican answer, let's look for the right answer, that seems to be lost in translation. But I mean, why can't we just, stop this whole shit with war? I mean, look at what's going on in Ukraine. 2,000 people died last week in the Ukraine war. And they were all Ukrainians mostly. They're taking these German tanks, these Leopards, and they got Bradleys. And I mean, they've been given billions of dollars worth of weapons in there. They're still losing. They're losing bad, too. Russia just isn't, they're not moving any forward. They could if they wanted to. I don't know,
but it's
man.
now urban, Greg. A lot of it's now urban warfare. And urban warfare is always very costly, like World War II showed that with Stalingrad.
Yeah.
You've virtually got to level the whole place to the ground. And from what I understand, what Russia hasn't leveled, or at the time each place is taken over and the Russians move forward, it is leveled. So there's only just rubble left. So the whole place will have to be rebuilt. I've seen a video where the average time for a frontline soldier is between 8 to 10 hours. That this Chinese fella had, and it was translated. And in the group that he was in, there was only 2 of them survived 10 days. So he was saying the average lifetime, and you've just got corpses on corpses. So yeah, it's pretty horrific, and the bloodshed of it.
Absolutely.
And I think, well, Russia can probably last longer, but I think Ukraine, as far as their youth goes, especially their males, it's been really gutted, So yeah, so it's not going to get any better, is it? The longer it goes on.
Yeah, I know. And I can't understand why the Democrats that are in charge right now are leaving our borders wide open for anybody to come in. And, they want to give these people citizenship. They want them to vote because they vote Democrat, right? It's just, they're letting people come in here by the millions so that they can win the election. Eventually, that's going to backfire when the American people are outnumbered. I mean, this Kamala Harris, she wants open borders and free Medicare for all. That's going to just break the system. You can't do that.
Well, it's why she's putting them in every state. When they come up, she's planting them in every state now. so that they can get this vote majority. And of course, that's the promise: free housing, Medicare, big check, and all local people have to pay for it. So that's how much she cares for American people, as far as I can see it.
I
Not
can't
at
take
all.
I can't take listening to her. She talks to people like they're 5.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
think
she
I
does
think
and
that's
she
her
does the little
mentality, Scott.
dances.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she
And
does the
they're
little
laughing.
dances.
They're fucking laughing.
I've never heard
Stop
her say
fucking
anything.
laughing. God.
Incredible.
Yeah, they should put a clip together of all the things, like the little scenes where she's laughing. She's just uncontrolled. I've never seen anything like it, man. And people are afraid to criticize because they don't want to be called a sexist or a racist, or you can't have an argument anymore without being called something. It's
Laughing
ridiculous.
gas, Kamala.
So Greg, is she laughing because she's happy, or is she laughing because of sort of the position she's in now, and she's not sure how she's going to handle it? So
Yeah,
it's
I
a bit
think
of a laugh of fear.
it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, defense mechanism.
Yeah,
Well,
she does. Yeah,
Biden used to do it by talking nonsense and gibberish for hours, but you know, everyone loved him because he's a nice old guy, and maybe she's going down the sort of a big, you know, mama of the nation and all this kind of thing.
yeah.
You know, I think it's just a pose, really. I think she laughs because she's vacuous.
What does that mean?
That's it. That's it.
I've never heard that word before. What does that mean?
It means she's got nothing in between her ears. Vacuum.
No. Yeah, exactly. That's right. And I think the people are going to see that.
Yeah.
You know, but like you said, you know, no politician that's running is right on all the issues.
They need to get the Ukraine under control.
Because now you notice that the Russians and Chinese are merged together now. They're flying their bombers. They were just couple miles off the American coast with some bombers. What was that all about? They testing our defenses or what?
Well, I
You
would
know,
think it's something to do with America sighting all their nuclear missiles right along the Russian border and flying B-52 sorties right within miles of the border. You know, so
Oh,
it's tit
really?
for tat kind of thing. Yeah.
There, I didn't know. See, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
Oh, it's happening everywhere now, Greg. I mean, it's so dangerous at the moment that anything can tip this now. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because if we get into a naval battle with China or Russia, they got those hypersonic missiles. They could probably destroy a whole fleet. That would be something.
Well, who knows? Who knows what they can do? But it won't be good for us, whatever happens.
No.
It won't be good for anyone on this planet. All right. Maybe they'll be able to scuttle into a bunker somewhere. But you know, of course, while all this shit's kicking off, you know, they're making no effort to kind of calm any of it down, are they? They're not. You know, they're not trying to put the brakes on any of this, basically.
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Right.
the interesting bit I see, Greg, is you've now got China, Russia, North Korea,
Iran.
Iran, yeah, possibly you'll get Libya, some of the African nations, and a few of the old Eastern Bloc countries. They'll all go back into, so you'll have this sort of dual setup, you know, East and West. But this time, you'll have a very united East. And the only thing I see is an issue for them is if you've got, say, Putin and Xi, are they going to be able to occasionally take a backward step on each other to preserve the relationship? Or every now and then, are they going to sort of like bang heads because each one wants to be boss of the, you know, of that formation? So I see the dynamics of that will be interesting to watch because they could end up, you know, like you said, we could end up doing something stupid, ending up in some sort of shit fight with them, and at the same time, they can end up bluing each other as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a dynamic situation where it's just so hard to call it, like I say. But what we have done is we've put some groups together that have always sort of been able to speak to each other, but have always kept each other at arm's length. And now we've united them on a common cause. So
it's going to
that's
be
what
interesting. It's important that we have a good president, a strong president that, you know, knows what he's doing.
And our big issue, Nick, is energy. You know, the Chinese have always had energy problems,
Mm-hmm.
but now they've teamed up well with Russia. All of a sudden now they've got a lot of energy from Russia and Iran and that.
Yeah.
So the energy's not the issue for them. All right, so that makes them so much stronger. But if you look in our world, energy's an issue because we're not looking for the older types of energy. We seem to be banking everything on these newer type systems of wind and solar and that. And a lot of the stuff that we use to operate all that,
Mm-hmm.
we've got to import off of China and that. So, yeah. So
Yeah.
Well, they're killing they kill our energy industry with a view to moving us into these other forms of energy, which aren't really there yet. But in the meantime, they're going after the big money, which is where the energy is, and so we're in this dichotomy of a world. You know, we're in a place that seems to be getting colder where we are, but we're paying for global warming, and although it's nice and
Yeah.
warm today.
You know, blaming the people for global warming is just sad. It's another pitiful fucking law that the reason I think last conversation, Andy made the point that to Ted, that it isn't just cheap labor that they're after. They go down there to Mexico to build the plants because they have easier EPA standards.
easier regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So you just go to another country and do it. What's the difference? I mean, why handcuff Americans, you know, and blame it on us? We're the only ones that are following anything, and it's not doing any good. It doesn't have anything to do with emissions. It has everything to do. The whole solar system is warming up. We're closer to the galactic arm. Of course. It's where all the electricity is. You know. When I was born, Eisenhower was president. So I've been through a few presidents. And I never remember it being this bad. Inflation is so bad. You have to earn $120,000 a year just to get a house. The American dream has been destroyed by the left. Getting rid of all of our jobs. I mean, it's sad. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to put it together. Go ahead, Andy.
Greg, maybe they called it a dream because it was a dream. You had to do it when you were asleep. Because from what the way I look at it is, it's always been a system where not everybody can, as far as the American dream, the Australian dream, the British dream, you're able to own your own home, have a holiday and all that sort of stuff. The majority's never been able to actually do that if you go and look, right? And then it all got tipped upside down with the economics of the 1980s, where they created a lot of free money. And as Nick would tell you, back in the UK, all the old council-type housing that people or families had lived in for generations, all of a sudden got sold up underneath them. And it changed the whole dynamics. And now it's all balanced out. So now you have a few that are able to cash in on that. But the majority are still, they're worse off than they were before it, because now it's just, like how much money can I get off somebody? And it's got no real relevance. The people that are doing it don't have the capital really to do it. And like you say, the wages can't keep up with the costs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
How are they going to ever defeat it? I just see it getting worse. I don't know how it's ever going to get better because we don't have any jobs left. I mean, if you want to work at Walmart or McDonald's, but I mean, there's no more manufacturing in the U.S., and I'm hoping that Trump brings that back. We should have never left.
Well, it will, because he'll localize things again instead of globalizing everything. You know,
Mhm.
we've got all these politicians who globalize things because it's streamlined their little their their little export routes, and the schemes for selling businesses, buying businesses here cheap and selling them over there expensive, or taking a business that is a startup business that is working well, and there isn't the backing here to do anything, so people go and get backed elsewhere to do it, where you will get backing. You know, so it all comes down to the banking systems, and the systems we've got set her up are just based upon corruption, and you know, well, it's usury. It's all usury, and so it's bound to collapse. You know, we a fundamental collapse of that system, um, to some extent. All right, I suppose the same people will rise back up in charge of the next one, but you know, it's the actual process that's completely wrong now and has to be completely looked at,
so,
rebuilt.
Nick, there hasn't been a collapse since that one in the late 1920s. It's really affected the people in the higher incomes. You know, if you have a look at 2008, 2001, 1986, and a bit of a wobble in the 70s, all those things really only at the end of the day affected that working middle class, lower middle class group of people through. And from the work, more lower incomes came out of it and all that, where the people in them higher echelons, they got richer out of it. And that's the thing now is, so you have some form of collapse now. What do they go to some digital sort of system where they give themselves control, which means all those people that are up there now slopping in the trough continue in the trough, and nothing really changes. We just change, you know, instead of having a dollar bill, you use some little token on your phone. You know?
Yeah, I know. That's stupid too. I don't use any of those apps.
Yeah, but
It's
what I'm getting at, Greg, is that's all about the people that are there now never really getting hit. It's always the lower part getting hit. I think you're going to have a massive collapse for them to get whacked. And it's going to be tough for the people, you know, the working people. Because they seem to be able to insulate themselves all the time by just printing more money.
Well,
So anyway,